Okay, sorry about that. We had a visitor at the door. Okay, so we should have variable written down. So now we're going to constants. Constants, that should be the next piece of your pie, would be a constant. Now we're getting into some things I think that maybe you're not familiar with. So let's look at what a constant is. All a constant is it's the part of the equation or expression that's not ever going to change, and the only part that's not ever going to change is the number. So in an expression or equation, it's the term that is a number. It's the term that is a number. You know, for example, and you can really put down any number you want to. I mean, we can have 4, 6, 2, 1/2, -10. All of those are terms. If I were to have 4x plus 2 equals 9, 2 and 9 are constants. Those are all constants because they are my numbers. They have no variables with them. Okay, so those are what we call the constants. Okay, the next one would be a coefficient. A coefficient. We'll use this term a lot, so you really need to make sure you understand what a coefficient is. All a coefficient is, it's the number value in front of a variable in a term. So it's the number value in front of the variable in a term. Okay, it's the number value in front of the variable in a term. So for example, if I have 3x, what is the number value in front of the variable? That would be my 3. That is your coefficient. If you have a highlighter or something like that and you want to highlight the 3, that is your coefficient. Okay, another one, let's look at this one, -5y. What's the coefficient here? Of course, it's the -5 because it is the number in front of the variable and you have it set up like this. Another one would be 0.03 xp. What's the coefficient there? Would be 0.03 because it's the number that's in front of the variable. And the last one I'm going to go over is this one right here. If you just have an x by itself, what number is understood to be in front of that x? And hopefully everybody knows that that is a number 1. If it's understood, if it's an x by itself, it's automatically understood to have a 1 in front of it. Okay? So the next thing we're going to is the terms. So the next pie piece should be terms. Okay? So for a term, this is a little bit more in depth, so make sure you leave plenty of space there in your pie. But a term is a number. It could be a variable. Or a product, quotient, one of those two, of a number and a variable. Okay, so it could be a number, it could be a variable, or it could be a product of a number and a variable, or it could be a quotient of a number and a variable. And let me just give you some examples because that gets a little complicated. For example, 12 is a term. If you have 12 plus 3x, 12 would be a term. 3x would be one of the terms in the example I just gave you. 2w would be a term. C over 3 would be a term. All of those are terms. It's a number. It could be a variable. Let me put a variable in here. Let's put y in here. It could be a number, a variable. It could be a product of a number and a variable, or it could be a quotient of a number and a variable. Okay? And the other thing you need to know about terms is they are separated, all the terms are separated by addition or subtraction. They're separated by addition or subtraction. And what I'm going to do is, since I'm running out of space here, I'm just going to put an equation or an expression right here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So one of the expressions would be, let's say 3x plus c over 5 minus 1/2 x plus 3.
Brad Jenkins.
Okay, these are all terms. 3x is a term, c5, 1/2 x, and 3. So what you have to remember is the biggest thing about a term that you have to remember is that whatever the operation is in front of it, that creates the value of the coefficient or that term. So for example, let me use my different color here so you can see it better. Here's a term, 3x, and what's the value of the 3x? Is it positive or negative? And we know that it's positive because if it were negative, it would say so. In this case, c over 5 is a term, but we have to remember that it's a positive c over 5, or c divided by 5. A negative 1/2 x is a term. We take that subtraction with it, and that makes it a negative. This is so important that you remember this. And the positive 3 is a term. Okay? So if you'll have these in your notes, and make sure you're putting squares around, the activity we're going to do is going to have you separating terms and putting them together. Okay? So I think that's all on terms. And the last one that I have is like terms. That should be the last piece of pie that you have.